Today's November 13th. We are 13 days into NaNo. Everything's going really well. If I were writing today, which I will be soon, I will be hitting the 25k mark, which is halfway. But I haven't started writing yet today. And that's not because I'm procrastinating, no worries. I'm still in love with my story. I love it. Yeah, I don't know. I remember in my last video blog I was saying that my hall is being very happy right now. Anyway, the perks of living in the dorm. As I was saying, I remember in my last video blog that I made, I was saying that week 1 was the best. There was nothing like week 1, and I wouldn't be quite as excited about my story as I was during week 1. Well, now we are almost done with week 2, and I can honestly tell you that I am just as excited about my story, if not more, than I was during week 1, which is really weird for me because last year I wasn't really that excited about my story at all, and sitting down to write every day was just like, oh my god, make it end. When is November going to be over? But, yeah, it's amazing the difference it can make when you actually like your story. Like this year, I really like it. I really like my characters. There's way more character development this year than there was last year, which is, I think, a biggie. I think that's really why I like my story more this year. I've reached a point in my NaNo where my characters have really begun to take on lives of their own, and they are doing things and saying things that I never intended for them to do or say. About 2 days ago, I was writing, and all of a sudden, Larry decides he's going to be a drag queen, and I was like, where did that come from? Because it was nowhere in my planning process. It was not in my outline. It just had nothing to do with anything that I was thinking for him. And he was just like, yeah, I'm going to be a drag queen. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go with that because that's a really good idea. Oh my gosh. It's really great when your characters start talking to you and you're sitting in the middle of class and your characters are having dialogue in your head. Or that might mean you're crazy. I don't know, but either way, it works out for me because it makes the writing more fun because it's full of surprises. Yeah. I have an outline for my story. I have had this idea for this story for a long time. Since the beginning of the year. When did I come up with this idea? It was probably in March or April when I came up with this idea. And I was going to start writing it then. I actually started. I was maybe 3 or 4 pages in, and I was just like, no, this isn't working. It's coming out really awful. But I really still liked the idea for the story, so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to save this idea. I'm going to come back to it. I'm going to think about it some more because I really like it a lot, and I feel like it has a lot of potential. So I just thought about it for a few months, and then over the summer I was like, okay, I've thought about it enough. I'm really excited. I want to start it now. But I should probably wait until NaNoWriMo, so I was kind of debating with myself whether I should start it then or wait until November. I ended up starting it. I started over from scratch, wrote about 5 pages, and I was like, no, this still is not working. I am not satisfied with this. But I still really liked the idea, and that's, I think, why it was driving me crazy, was because I liked the idea so much, but I just couldn't seem to get it out right. So I left it, didn't look at it again, and I decided to just think about it for a few more months until November. So now, November is finally here, and I've been thinking about this idea for this story since March or April, and I finally feel like I know exactly what I want, and now the story is just coming out perfect. I started over from scratch, obviously, for November. I didn't use anything that I started writing before over the summer or anything like that, but now it's just coming out exactly how I want it to. I mean, obviously it's a rough draft, so there's still it's not perfect, you know, it's obviously going to need a lot of revising and rewriting and editing and all that good stuff. But for the moment, the idea that I have in my head is finally working out really well on paper, and I'm pretty excited about that. The only bad thing about the fact that I've been thinking about this story for so long and have been like planning it and outlining it in my head for so long is that now I have this idea of what I want, and if it doesn't turn out exactly how I want it, I feel like I'm just gonna think it's garbage, which is really bad. And I think that's part of the reason why I've been kind of reluctant to really jump into my plot. Like, I'm getting into it now, at least I better be getting into it, I'm like at almost 25,000 words, I'm like starting to get into it, but I think I'm afraid to really jump into it because I have such high expectations and I don't know if I can meet them. And I think that's turning out to be a bit of a problem. I really have to work on this fear and get over it and just like really jump into the plot. And if it doesn't come out the way I want it, then, you know, I have to realize that that could be okay, that could be a good thing, you know. Sometimes the story takes on a life of its own. The characters want to twist things around their own way, and it's really the writer's job to just go along with the characters and their crazy ideas. You know, that's really what a writer does. You just write the story that your characters are telling you. And I really need to learn that and stop being so afraid. So that's pretty much where I am right now in this torture that we call NaNoWriMo. I'm just kidding. It's not really torture. I really am enjoying myself. I do love November. I hope you're all doing well yourselves and keeping up with your word count. I think by the 15th, which is that tomorrow? No, that's in 2 days. By the 15th, you should be hitting the halfway mark, so, you know, if you're not there yet, you should probably try to speed up your writing a little bit. If you're falling behind, don't worry, you will catch up. Last year, I was so behind everything. Yeah, I ended up, like, writing a lot on the last day of November so that I could win. But yeah, you'll make it. It's possible, I promise. I've been doing this now for 3 years. Yeah, so good luck, happy writing, and I'll see you all next week. Bye!